Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about dying for pie, and imitation crabs. First, I'm going to talk about dying for pie. Enjoy. One day, Squidward is dressed in island clothes and playing the piano on an island. He hits one of the notes, but it makes a bell sound, which is coming from SpongeBob hitting a bell, which in reality is his alarm clock going off, revealing that it was a bad dream. Later in the morning, Squidward is still thinking about the dream about SpongeBob he had while arriving at the Krusty Krab, where it is Employee Brotherhood Day, a day on which all employees must exchange gifts that they made themselves. For his gift to Squidward, SpongeBob presents him with a sweater made out of his own eyelashes. When Squidward scoffs at this heartfelt gift, SpongeBob begins to cry copiously, eventually handing Squidward a sweater made from his own tears. Squidward, wishing he could simply buy a gift instead of spending time on making one, finds a group of pirates outside with a sack of pies. The pirates claim that these were bombs, and Squidward laments on being unable to purchase one, causing the pirates to lie and withdraw their claim, and he is given an indeterminate flavor for $25. Squidward presents his supposedly homemade pie to Mr. Krabs, who decides to give it a taste test. He breaks a tiny bit off the crust and goes to get milk. Tripping on his way, the crumb of pie explodes on contact and wrecks the back of the Krusty Krab, blasting Squidward and Mr. Krabs away. While Mr. Krabs believes it to be a deliberate attempt on his life, Squidward confesses that he bought the pie, ignorant of its contents. Back in Mr. Krabs' office, SpongeBob discovers the pie that Squidward bought for him, not noticing the large hole. After Squidward explains how he got the bomb to Mr. Krabs, they realize that the bomb is still in the Krusty Krab. When they rush back to the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob has apparently eaten the entire pie. Mr. Krabs is disgusted at Squidward for his act and asks how he will live with himself for killing SpongeBob after all of the nice things the sponge did for him. Squidward then imagines SpongeBob serving food to a customer, only to then suddenly explode into many small cubes from eating the explosive pie. Horrified, Squidward suggests they get him to the hospital to remove it, but Mr. Krabs states that it will not do any good. Having seen this situation play out 11 times prior, he tells Squidward that the pie will explode upon reaching SpongeBob's lower intestine. Squidward still tries to call the hospital, but the doctor reveals to have seen this situation 11 times before as well and cannot save him. A guilt-ridden Squidward laments on SpongeBob's fate and asks how he will tell him. Mr. Krabs insists that Squidward does not tell him, as it will only make him feel worse. He then predicts to Squidward that SpongeBob has only until sunset to live before the bomb hits his lower intestine and says that he should enjoy his final hours. Truly remorseful, Squidward decides to come up with a plan to make SpongeBob's remaining hours the most fun he has ever had, and so he asks him what he would most like to do. SpongeBob presents an extensive list of exactly that. He calls it his friendship list. A montage of Squidward and SpongeBob playing together is shown, revealing that Squidward has forgotten about Mr. Krabs' warning, SpongeBob's gifts to him, Employee Brotherhood Day, and his dream about SpongeBob. The final activity SpongeBob planned is watching the sunset with Squidward. Remembering Mr. Krabs' warning about SpongeBob's death, Squidward nervously agrees to participate. He then builds a brick wall between them so he won't see the explosion during the sunset. SpongeBob then mentions that if he were to die in some sort of fiery explosion due to the carelessness of a friend, this sunset would be exactly what he would want to see. Squidward begins to tear up at this while SpongeBob lets out a small burp, saying something of indeterminate flavor just hit his lower intestine. With the sun nearly past the horizon, SpongeBob begins a 5-second countdown, letting Squidward finish the count. At the end of the first count, with the sun still visible, SpongeBob chuckles that they may have started too early. Squidward, increasingly nervous, begins counting down once more. When he hits 3, the sun finally sets, and an explosion rocks the wall. Squidward breaks down into tears, thankful he was at least able to make SpongeBob's last few hours meaningful. Another explosion occurs, which knocks the wall down, crushing Squidward. He pulls himself out from underneath and, to his bewilderment, finds SpongeBob alive as well and blowing bubble bombs. Enraged, Squidward angrily yells at SpongeBob, saying that he spent the whole day with him doing all kinds of ridiculous things because he was supposed to explode. SpongeBob thought at first that Squidward wants him to explode in anger. That wasn't the case. Squidward said he was supposed to explode into a million pieces. After SpongeBob asks why, Squidward explains to him about the pie he left sitting on the counter at the Krusty Krab that he bought from pirates for $25 and he didn't know it was a bomb, and that SpongeBob ate it. SpongeBob finally knows what Squidward was talking about, because he remembers he was saving the pie in his back pocket for them to share. And the look on Squidward's face after he found out what SpongeBob really did with the pie tells us that he did everything with his neighbor all day for nothing, not to mention that he also got Mr. Krabs back at Bikini Bottom worried for nothing, as well. SpongeBob then walks over to share the pie with Squidward, only to trip on a rock. The pie bomb splats into Squidward, and the entirety of Bikini Bottom is destroyed in a nuclear explosion. Squidward miraculously survives, uttering, "Ouch," in pain. Next, I'm going to talk about imitation crabs. Enjoy. At the Krusty Krab, Plankton disguises himself as a robotic salesman to get the Krabby Patty secret formula, presenting SpongeBob with an offer for $1 million if he reveals it. SpongeBob explains, in no uncertain terms, that the formula is the property of Mr. Krabs and may not be divulged. Enraged, Plankton bursts out of the robot and threatens SpongeBob with violence, only to be caught by Mr. Krabs and shot out from a straw back to the chum bucket. Mr. Krabs stresses the importance of the formula's safety to SpongeBob, who takes it upon himself to be more vigilant. However, SpongeBob attacks a customer mentioning the formula in passing, thinking him to be Plankton in another disguise. To prevent further customer trauma, Mr. Krabs clarifies that the formula will be safe as long as SpongeBob only discusses it with him. Little do they know that Plankton's newest robotic disguise has been made in the image of Mr. Krabs. He first encounters Squidward, tasked by the real Mr. Krabs to take inventory of the storage room, in response to his wise guy remark about, "Why do today what you can put off until tomorrow?" Quote closing parenthesis. Plankton, as Robot Krabs, fails to fool Squidward, but the offer of a day off buys Squidward's silence. SpongeBob enters as Squidward skips out and notices Robot Krabs, who he believes is Mr. Krabs. The oddities of the robotic suit only slightly faze SpongeBob. When Mr. Krabs starts calling, however, Robot Krabs distracts SpongeBob and becomes a toaster. To keep Mr. Krabs out of the way after his repeated appearances, Plankton takes out a penny and sends it rolling into Mr. Krabs' office, which lures Mr. Krabs out of the restaurant and leaves Plankton's plan unimpeded. Robot Krabs finds SpongeBob scrubbing the kitchen floors and asks him about the formula, but SpongeBob says they have not initiated the secret handshake yet, so Robot Krabs allows SpongeBob to lead them through it. The handshake consists of standing on one foot, balancing a glass of chocolate milk on their heads, and singing the Bikini Bottom national anthem. What follows is a ritual that goes on for 6.5 hours and consists of many bizarre and ridiculous feats, leaving Plankton worn out from controlling Robot Krabs. After all this, SpongeBob still won't discuss the formula, causing Plankton to explode in anger at all of the things that he did were seemingly for nothing. However, SpongeBob explains that it simply must not be discussed out loud and holds up a bottle containing the formula in written form. As Robot Krabs eagerly reaches for the bottle, the penny from earlier enters the kitchen, followed by the real Mr. Krabs. He gets into an argument with Robot Krabs, and the two try to convince SpongeBob that they are the genuine article. Unable to handle the situation calmly, SpongeBob threatens the both of them with a vat of tartar sauce until he gets some answers, deciding that the best way to weed out the imposter is to present the two with a quiz about the Krusty Krab. The first two questions are generic ones that anyone who has been to the restaurant could answer, and Robot Krabs answers both correctly. The third and final question is one so complicated that not even the real Mr. Krabs can answer it. SpongeBob promptly blasts him with the tartar sauce and rolls him out the door in a fry basket, convinced he is the imposter. Believing Robot Krabs to be the real Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob presents him with the formula. As Plankton laughs in triumph, SpongeBob notices the penny that Mr. Krabs was chasing and unwittingly drops it into Robot Krabs' coin-operated self-destruct mechanism as its weakness. With only 10 seconds until detonation, Plankton briefly ponders the intelligence of such a design choice that it was not one of his better ideas before making a frantic dash back to the chum bucket. Unfortunately, he arrives too late and the robot explodes, obliterating his restaurant and causing the metal fist to crush Plankton. A simple, "ouch," shows he is only injured. As the formula bottle rolls back to SpongeBob, he realizes his grave error. Suddenly, Mr. Krabs is heard screaming for help, and he is shown still in the fry basket fending off Hans wielding a fork to eat him. SpongeBob rushes over and carts Mr. Krabs back to the Krusty Krab, apologizing for believing him to be the imposter. Mr. Krabs forgives him, but says that the penny will be coming out of his paycheck. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.